Okay, hi guys and welcome to the show. Now today I will be doing another Seiko Saturday giveaway. I haven't done one for a while, so long overdue. What else? I'll be giving a few shout outs and asking a very important question for a future video. I would love to have your feedback on this. It's regarding dive watches. Also be reviewing the Tudor Pelagos. Big shout out to Pat for lending it in. What else? Yeah, a couple of emails have come in, but that's pretty much it. So let's do a quick wristwatch check before I roll the intro. I'm wearing the Squally 1521 on the brightest neon NATO strap imaginable. Look, it's summer, it's fun, it's lively, and I'm enjoying it, and that's what it's all about. And I've got to admit, this and the Explorer and the SKX in particular have been taking up the most of my wrist time, I guess, as it were. So, wristwatch check done. Let's roll the intro and get into today's video. Okay, welcome back guys. Now, first of all, last week's Seiko Saturday winner, and this goes out to Johannes, and he shared an adorable picture, I'll post it here, of his dog Arugula wearing the SKX on his collar, and you could see Arugula with this priceless expression, very kind of regal. The dog is all wet, he's obviously just jumped out of that the river behind him. Priceless. So as a prize, I'm going to be sending Johannes a Parker Jotter. This is the two-tone, so the main pen is in the chrome, and we have a gold tone clip. And not only that, I'm going to also send you the Casio calculator watch from Back to the Future. So that is your prize. Do send me an email with your details, and I will make sure I get that off to you as soon as I can. Also, here in the United States next week, if this goes out in time, God willing, if I get my work finished and manage to edit this in time, next week here in the United States is July the 4th, Independence Day, of course. I recently just got an email from my good friend Sam, who's been recently deployed back to Afghanistan. If you guys remember, he lent in that beautiful Zenith El Primero with the moon phase. I forget the name of the reference, like I always do, but an exquisite watch, and I came so close to buying it. Pretty sure he owns a Pelagos. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he owns the Pelagos too. So rather fittingly, he gets a shout out in today's video. Now, he is in Afghanistan, and I would just like to say a quick shout out to you, sir, and I hope you're well. Please do stay safe. He shared a fantastic wristwatch check. He's got his Sumto, I think it's the Sumto Core, I think it is. And also, I believe he took one of his Zins over there as well. So, perfect for the environment, I would imagine. I hope you're well, my friends. Stay safe. The gentry is thinking of you and is behind you. As we are on the subject of divers, one of my earliest videos was a top 5 favorite divers. Now, I have since taken that video down. Actually, no, I just made it private. Some of my early videos are rather embarrassing, to say the least. I would like to do a 2017 update. I just realized my Parker matches my shirt. That was not intentional. Anyway, sorry, yeah, what was I saying? I would love to do a 2017 update of that. So please do share below in the comments your top 5 favorite divers of all time, irrespective of price. Doesn't matter if it's quartz, kinetic, it could be, it doesn't matter what it is. So just share your personal favorites, what you think are the best divers Perhaps you own them, perhaps you aspire to own them. If you can, please do put them in ascending order. So number one, your favorite, obviously, and then in that kind of order. I really do appreciate that. So I will try and collate the information together, and it will help me assist, and also remind me, because there's just so many excellent divers. It kind of begs the question, why do we love divers so much? You know, especially after the James Bond video we did the other day, got me thinking about this as well. The sense of adventure, the masculinity, the robustness. I was almost thinking that, in essence, the diver, I mean, the cliche, a dog is a man's best friend, as we can see from arugula there. But I think a diver is also probably a man's second best friend. It's just such a versatile piece. Also, the dive time bezel is so useful for basic timing. The water resistance, there's that romance attached to a sense of adventure there. They are a wonderful genre. So I think we need to do an update on that for 2017. The Pelagos certainly will make it in there. In my opinion, I think the Pelagos is one of the best divers out there. A few observations before we get into we'll change perspectives to have a closer look at the Pelagos. I only just realized how integral and emblematic the color blue is to the Submariners. In a way, it kind of distinguished itself further away from the Submariner, you know, the Rolex Submariner. The Mercedes hands very much is the Rolex thing, and then we have the snowflake integral to the identity of the Tudor divers. So blue is very important, and I didn't really realize that, especially at the reference 9401 and the 7021. But what is interesting is that the shade of blue. Well, actually, you know what? Enough talking. Let's change perspectives and have a closer look and end this video with a review of the Tudor Pelagos. Now this is the reference 2500TB 0001, the latest incarnation of the Tudor Pelagos. And if you remember right back at the early days of the channel, I actually did my top 5 favorite divers, and back then the Tudor Pelagos, the previous generation, I guess you could call it the previous generation, the ETA based version had come out, and I was a huge fan of it, and I considered it definitely in my top 5 divers. I have several friends that own that watch, and actually that's why I've kind of accelerated the publishing of this particular review, because I know the watch well. So basically this is the 2015 Baselworld release, the updated version. It's an entirely titanium case with a beautiful brushed finish. I've got to say, if you're not familiar with Tudor, you really should get. Where have you been? Tudor's an incredible brand. It's a sister brand of Rolex, of course, founded by Hans Willdorf. What is interesting about the Tudor divers is that they run parallel to the more famous, I guess, Rolex divers. Now, I discussed a bit of the history of the Tudor Submariners in my review of a Tudor Submariner, and I'll leave a link in the description. So have a look back if you're not familiar. Tudor very much have a rich heritage and legacy of their own, somewhat overshadowed by Rolex, of course, but these days Tudor has really been going from strength to strength. And in my opinion, the Pelagos has taken a bit of a back burner recently, especially with the new black bays and all the rest of them. So let's start with the dimensions first. Now we have quite a wide diameter of 42 millimeters, a thickness of just a smidgen over 14 millimeters, so quite tall. Lug to lug, we're looking at 49 millimeters, actually, well, pretty much 50 millimeters, so not that big considering its diameter. The lug width is 22 millimeters, so a very contemporary size. Now, of course, as I mentioned, it is entirely made out of titanium, and the finishing, the brushing is just impeccably done, and I've got to say a quick shout out to Pat for lending this in. There aren't any high polished surfaces. There is slight variation, if you can see in the beveled edges there. The case is quite reminiscent of the Black Bay. The proportions in relation to each other are similar, although this is a much more substantially larger timepiece. Now, what is amazing about this watch, if you saw the unboxing, it comes with a fantastic vulcanized rubber strap. I have been wearing it on the bracelet. I've got to say I love the bracelet, mainly because of this wonderful multi-point adjustment system. And you guys know I highly rate the glide lock system of the Submariner, but this is really something else. So once you unfasten the little fold over, and it has a little latch that you just grab a hold of, very similar actually to some of the Rolex clasps. All it is once you fold it out, you basically pull it and then you slide into place. So you've got 3 positions there. It doesn't extend as much as the glide lock, admittedly, but you do have quite a nifty, if I fold it out to all the way, you do have a spring-loaded mechanism. So once on the wrist, it actually expands and contracts with your wrist. Ingenious, a really nice touch, but it doesn't stop there. You also have, you can see push there, a diver extension, very nicely done. Hidden away, you almost don't notice it, and it folds in securely. Beautiful, really ingenious, and I love the way they've incorporated the shield motif, which of course is the Tudor, or the modern Tudor logo. The older one was the rose, of course, because Tudor is in honor of the British royal dynasty, because Hans Willdorf was a huge Anglophile, of course, and you see this shield on the dial. The most immediate thing you'll notice about the watch is this dazzling, quite striking blue. Now, the precise name of this is, quite fittingly, snorkel blue. And it's done in a matte finish on both the ceramic bezel insert and, of course, the dial. So it gives it a very kind of rich texture. It's not glossy at all. And in certain lights, becomes, especially in a darker light, it really does change. The bezel is a 60 click unidirectional bezel, very, very solid. It's a little bit of a shame it's not 120 click, because from my personal experience, you guys know I have lung issues, so I can't go diving anymore, but I use these kind of bezels just to time basic stuff. I do prefer, I've got to admit, the accuracy of 120 click bezel. However, this is done exceedingly well, and there's an astonishing level of detail. If we pop it back to the 12 o'clock position, the final click is slightly different than the other 59 clicks. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I'll try and do it slowly. There, might have heard it. Let's just do it one more time. I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure about this, but did you hear it there? It's a slightly different click. Beautiful attention to detail. Now, that dial is absolutely exquisite. It really is quite captivating. It's extremely legible. The contrast between the crisp white and, of course, that luscious blue. The chapter ring is cut out. It's a wonderful sense of depth. Slight amphitheater effect with the markings all applied, and then the luminescence in the middle. Now, the hands are those iconic snowflake hands, a trope of the Tudor divers. Unlike the Black Bay, we also have the snowflake on the second hand as well as the hour. This makes it very easy to distinguish in daylight and also in the dark with the lume. Now, the lume is astonishing, and what is fantastic is we get fully lumed bezel. So not only is it ceramic, there's lume on all the markings, and it's gorgeous. It really is a pleasure to look at, and it's something that is just so quintessential in a good diver. The orientation is assisted by that beautiful triangle at 12 o'clock, and of course we don't have a lume marking at the 3 o'clock because we have the date. And I love they've put the date wheel in white. It's not immediately noticeable, but gives balance to the other side of the dial. Now, the bezel itself has a coin edge and overhangs slightly. You get a really comfortable grip. We have a signed screw-down crown, and I've got to say, when you wind it, if you remember my unboxing, it is absolutely buttery smooth. It threads beautifully, and then when you top up the movement, It's got a really nice feel to it. Buttery smooth. This of course is the newer in-house movement, and we'll get into that in just a second. The bracelet tapers wonderfully. We do have solid end links, and what is nice is that something I've noticed about especially the older Tudor watches, they used to have the double-sided screws, so you'd have to, it was quite tricky to take links out. This time they have the single-sided screws, which is a little bit more conventional and a lot easier to adjust. So I've unscrewed the crown. We do have quick set date, and if I pull it out all the way, it is hackable, and I'm just going to move those beautiful big hands so you can see the text on the dial. This is my only slight reservation about its design, is there's a lot of information there. It's got to be said, I do appreciate such a tool-tastic design, functional and legible, and then they crowd the bottom half of the dial. A little bit of a shame. I thought I'd get past it, but it still is a little bit of an annoyance. As it says, it is of course 500 meters water resistant. Now on the side, we do have a helium escape valve. The glass is a flat sapphire glass. We do have anti-reflective coating, which is really nice. Although I gotta say, with that matte blue, it's do you really need it? It really is indicative of what this watch is all about. It always goes that extra mile. So if we take a look at the back, we have an engraved case back. Very simply done. This screw-in case back is typical of Tudor and its bigger brother Rolex. So let's discuss the movement. Inside we have the in-house caliber MT5612. This is a 26 jewel movement. We have an anti-magnetic silicon hairspring, we have free sprung balance, we also have ceramic rotor bearings in there, something that even Rolex haven't done yet. Operates at 28,800 vibrations an hour. It is of course COSC certified, so accuracy is just phenomenal on this piece. And astonishingly, we have a 70-hour power reserve, which is just fantastic, and it really makes it a great weekend away watch. It is of course hackable, and we have manual wind as well. Reliability, we have still yet to see. In the whole scheme of things, this is relatively a new movement, so I guess we will have to come back in a few years on that one. My only issue with this new in-house, fantastic as it is, it's certainly going to be a little bit more expensive to service and repair. You're also going to have to send it to Tudor. As I mentioned in the beginning, the 2012 first generations of Tudor Pelagos, they were based on an ETA, which are greatly reliable. They have a solid reputation, workhorse movements, to use a cliche from the watch world. I would take that into consideration if you're deciding between them. Although at retail, the in-house costs only a few hundred more, so I think it depends if you want to get that watch enthusiast box tick of approval to say, oh, it's an in-house and all the rest of it. There is a respectability, I guess you could say, about it. Although, to be quite honest, they're both fantastic, they really are. So let's pop it on the wrist and see how it wears. And there we go. Now, as you guys know, I have very small wrists, but it wears remarkably well. What assists this is the relatively, despite the large diameter, from lug to lug, it's not that big. I must say, the weight, I believe the case back is stainless steel, and of course the movement is, I have a strong suspicion it's the movement that's keeping it weighty. We're looking at about 106 grams on the rubber, and if you wear it on the bracelet like this, we're looking at about 142 grams. It's extremely legible. That brilliant blue just sings. There's no mistaking what time it is at any angle. It really does the job fantastically. It's a very reassuring feeling wearing this watch, and very enjoyable. And I've got to say, more importantly, it is a fun watch to wear. So let's summarize the watch. Let's start with the positives. Well, undoubtedly the quality is there. You really do feel like this is a well-made, beautifully finished dive watch. There's no denying that it does its job impeccably well. Every little detail has been well thought out. The color is alluring and fun. It definitely has a strong identity of its own. Tudor have a wonderful heritage. It's very much one of the best dive watches without a doubt at its price range. An incredible watch for the money. In many ways, it's superior to the Submariner. It's very difficult not to discuss this watch without making comparisons to its famous bigger cousin, I guess you could say. Although I feel that this is a totally different animal. This is not trying to be a kind of a dressy diver. This really is the most tool-tastic, fit for purpose and nothing else. Despite its more contemporary larger size, it's not that bulky. You know, I got away with wearing it absolutely fine, although you guys know I'm used to smaller sizes. But for most people, it would fit very, very well. So let's discuss the negatives. Well, that color is also a bit of a divisive one. It can clash. It's not going to be as versatile. It's not going to be matching to as many straps. And also, I feel with its brushed aesthetic, it lends itself more for as a dive watch. I would struggle to personally, I mean, you can wear it however you want, but I wouldn't wear this, you know, formally. This is too tooly, so to speak, for formal wear. That's just my opinion. It begs to be taken into the ocean. It really does. Secondly, while I do feel it wears very comfortably, I would have loved to see it a smidgen smaller. Perhaps if Tudor made this available, and they did with the Tudor Submariners. If you remember the review of that salmon pink Submariner I had briefly, that was in a 36mm size. I don't know why they don't offer this in even a 40mm or a 38 would be amazing. Maybe make it a tiny bit thinner as well. So its hefty size is going to alienate a few. Lastly, the text on the dial. While it doesn't inhibit performance, it does detract from the cleanliness of the design. I just don't understand why they got so many things right and then they left it a little bit cluttered towards the 6 o'clock. It's a shame. It's funny, the other day we were discussing the iconic James Bond Submariner, and all that I had written on it was Submariner and the depth rating at the bottom there. That's really all you need. But anyway, I guess it's just my preference, but I do feel that it disrupts the balance and beautiful aesthetic of that dial. Again, we are really nitpicking. It is an outstanding watch. I love it. I really do recommend it. Is it still in my top 5 of divers of all time? Probably. I do give this watch the pure class seal of approval. It's definitely its own thing and a worthy addition to an already incredible lineage of divers from Tudor. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts, queries, comments, opinions, all the rest of it down below. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.